Hi, everyone. Welcome to our self-care and well-being course. I am Dr. Joshua Swift, and I'll be your instructor for this semester. In this first lecture, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and give you an introduction to the course, including going over the syllabus and the course requirements. Now, pay attention and maybe take some notes because we will have a short quiz on the lecture. Let's start with the introduction. Like I mentioned, I'm Dr. Joshua Swift. I'm a professor in the psychology department with a focus on clinical psychology. I've been a faculty member here at Idaho State University for 9 years now. And prior to that, I was a faculty member at the University of Alaska Anchorage for 5 years. I completed my undergraduate degree in psychology at Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. I then completed my doctorate in clinical psychology at Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, Oklahoma. After that, I completed a 1-year residency at SUNY Upstate Medical University in Syracuse, New York. At Idaho State, I teach both undergraduate and graduate courses. The undergraduate courses that I often teach are psychopathology or abnormal psychology, ethics, clinical psychology, and this self-care and well-being course. At the graduate level, I also teach ethics, a course on supervision, and I provide clinical practicum training for our graduate students. I'm a licensed psychologist, which allows me to supervise our graduate students in their clinical work, as well as occasionally see clients on my own. Besides teaching, I'm also a researcher. I conduct psychotherapy process and outcome research. Specifically, I study clients' experiences with both seeking and engaging in psychotherapy, with the goal to improve the effectiveness of the mental health interventions that we offer to clients. Now, since this is a class on self-care and well-being, I also want to share a bit about who I am outside of an academic setting. I met my wife while I was an undergraduate student at BYU, and we got married shortly before starting graduate school. We have 6 children, 2 born in Oklahoma, 1 in New York, and 2 in Alaska, and finally 1 here in Pocatello. Our oldest is now 17, and our youngest is about to turn 7. Besides spending time with my family, I like being active. I played baseball and ran cross country and track through high school, but I really love all kinds of sports. I enjoy weightlifting, running, hiking, and riding my bike, which I do year-round to get to work every day. I also enjoy traveling. Growing up, my family frequently took long road trips, and I was able to go to 49 out of 50 states, all but Alaska, before finishing high school. Besides crossing the border to Mexico and Canada, my first international experience came when I was 19 and served a mission for my church in Taiwan. Living there for 2 years was a life-changing experience for me. Since then, I've been able to travel to China and several countries in Europe and South America. Now, sometimes when I travel, I go alone to give various talks to various universities and professional organizations. But my favorite is to travel with my wife and children. Okay, now on to the class. This is a course that I have taught several times in the past. On occasion, I have titled it Self-Care and Mindfulness, or Self-Care and Growth. But this year, I went with Self-Care and Well-Being. I went with well-being this year to emphasize the goal of this course a little more. My goal for this course is not only to teach you about what self-care is, but to also help you develop a higher level of well-being in your life. In other words, I'm hoping that through this course, you will be able to develop the knowledge and skills that you need to be happy throughout your life. So the focus is really on happiness. And of course, happiness is something that we all want. I'll talk about that goal more in our next lecture. But for now, I'll say that although happiness is something we all desire, it can be difficult to achieve. I think this is often because we look at happiness as an emotion that just kind of happens to us. If things go well in our life, then we're happy. And if they don't go so well, then we're not. Growing up, we're often taught how to make things go well in our life. We're taught how to achieve things or how to succeed. For example, at a young age, we're taught how to walk, how to talk, how to read and write, and maybe how to make friends. As we grow older, we're taught how to play games and sports, with the goal always being to win. We're taught how to do well in school so we can get good grades and eventually a high-paying job. So much of what we are taught is how to be successful in our society. And that's really important. But as we will discuss later in this class, being successful and achieving things doesn't always bring happiness. And rarely are we actually taught how to just be happy. And without learning how to be happy, it remains a state or an emotion that just does or doesn't happen to us. Let me give an analogy for this. When I was young, my parents said that they would pay me for getting good grades in school. And specifically, I would get $1 for every A and $10 on top of that for any straight A report cards that I had. In general, I was always a good student. I paid attention in my classes, almost always did my homework on time, and I studied some for the exams. But exactly how I would earn a certain grade was always a mystery to me. I would open up my report card at the end of every semester, really not knowing what to expect. Now, I usually got a fair number of A's, but there were also always some B's on my report cards. And although I was highly motivated to earn straight A's to earn that extra cash, I never did. And to me, because the grading process was a mystery, I never felt like I had control over that goal that I was striving for. Now, this continued on to my first year of college, but instead of opening up my report card and discovering mainly A's and some B's, I opened it to several C's and D's. And at that point, I knew that something had to change. A desire for good grades and doing all of my work wasn't going to be enough. There had to be some process that I could follow that would make it so I could get the grades that I wanted. So after giving it some thought and through some trial and error with some summer courses, online courses that I took, I finally figured it out. I cracked the code. I learned what would be required of me to get a straight A report card. For me, it meant closely studying the syllabi as soon as I got it and calendaring out all my classes, all readings, all assignments, and all study times for the entire semester. It meant showing up to every class and taking notes. It meant completing my readings for the week immediately after class and taking notes on what I read. It meant completing small assignments the day they were given, rather than the day they were due, and completing major assignments at least a week before the due date, so I could review my work several times before turning it in. It meant creating my own study guide for each exam and reviewing my notes from class and the readings at least 3 times immediately before taking the exam. And it meant meeting with the teacher individually at least 1 time during the semester. Now, once I got this code figured out, my grades were no longer a mystery. Instead, it became a math equation. I knew that if I did these things, then I was guaranteed straight A's. And it worked. Throughout the rest of my undergraduate and graduate career, I earned straight A's on every report card that I received. Now, too bad my parents stopped paying me for great grades when I graduated from high school. Just like my grades, we often view our happiness in life as a mystery. It is something that we may or may not fall into. However, Just as I discovered a code for getting straight A's, there is a code for being happy. As Tenzin Gasto, the 14th Dalai Lama, once said, happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. Unfortunately, many of us either don't know what the code is, or we're actually taught a wrong code, a code for success or achievement, rather than happiness. But once we know the right code, we can take control and we can determine our happiness, no matter what situation or circumstances we may be in. And this is what this course is designed to do, to teach you a code for happiness and give you an opportunity to practice it and test it out for yourself. So how are we going to do that? Well, there are two main parts or tasks for this course, the learning part and the practice part. And you may want to pause the video now and get out your syllabus and follow along while I describe each part. So first, the learning. Each week, you will have a lecture. These lectures will typically last 20 to 30 minutes, and in them I'll share some about the theory and research for various self-care activities, and then teach you about strategies for engaging in them. The first 3 lectures you can watch anytime during the week, as long as you finish by the Sunday in the week that they're assigned. But then starting for week 4, and what I have up on the slide here, you'll need to watch the lectures at the start of the week. It may even be the weekend before. So from week 4 on, the lectures must be completed by Monday evening. This is because they set up the practices that you will do during the week. Now, after you watch each lecture, you'll take a 5-item multiple choice quiz on it, and each quiz will be worth 10 points. These quizzes won't be too difficult. They're just designed to make sure that you actually watched the lecture and paid attention to it. These quizzes also have to be completed by Monday evening. Also, in response to the lecture, you'll have to submit one podcast type question about the lecture topic. So having listened to the lecture, what is something you now want to know more about? So pretend you're a host for a podcast and I was invited as a guest speaker. What interview questions would you ask me that builds on the lecture you already heard? Now, if it's a good question, so something I didn't already answer in the lecture, or something that isn't so generic that you didn't have to listen to the lecture to ask it, then you'll earn 10 points for it. So remember, from week 4 on, all of this has to be completed by the Monday evening of the week. And so you do it for one Monday, and then you go about the week, and then the following Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, you repeat the process with the next lecture, the next quiz, the next podcast question. Now, second is the practice. These start in the 4th week of the class. On Mondays, you'll need to set a self-care goal for yourself for the week. Now, although you can do it over the weekend before if you watched the lecture earlier, the goal should be related to the topic for that week that's going to follow. For example, during the 4th week of class, we'll talk about sleep and nutrition. So by Monday of that week, you'll watch the lecture on sleep and nutrition, take the quiz on that lecture, submit your podcast question, and then set a sleep and nutrition goal for yourself. Examples could be, I want to sleep 8 hours each night of this week, or I'm going to go to bed by 10 p.m. each night during the week, or even I plan to drink a total of 448 ounces of water. That's 64 ounces a day. Now, these goals are personalized, so you can put down whatever that's meaningful to you, as long as it's related to the week's topic. Submitting the goal on time, whatever it may be, will earn you 20 points. Then it's your job to meet your goal. Do everything you can to try to accomplish it. Practice each day of the week. Then at the end of the week, you go back into the course website and report on how you did. This could be on Saturday, Sunday, or the following Monday. You'll be given 20 more points if you submit this report on time. You're not going to be graded on whether or not you accomplished your goal, but I would encourage you to do everything you can to accomplish them because this is your personal code to happiness. Finally, you can earn points by completing the pre and post happiness and well-being assessments posted on the course website. The pre ones should be completed during the first week, and the post ones completed during the final week. This will be our assessment to see if the plan is working for you. And then there's the final paper. In this paper, you'll talk about the self-care activities that you did during the semester. Then you'll talk about your scores from the pre and post assessment. And then finally, you'll write up a short personalized plan for future self-care activities. And specific details on the length of the paper and how it will be graded and everything can be found on the syllabus. Okay, so that's the course and an overview to your happiness code. I'm looking forward to this semester and seeing how it all goes for you. I'll be adding the lectures and quizzes to the course website as the semester progresses. And I'm excited to see all of your individual self-care activities. In addition, I'll send out some regular reminder emails about the course requirements. And I'll occasionally send out some notices about some optional self-care activities that you can do with me. Maybe something like a game of volleyball in the Reed gym, some guided mindfulness exercises, or a group service project. Again, all of these would be completely optional for those who might be interested. So today, don't forget to take the quiz on this lecture, submit your podcast question, and then take the pre-course happiness and well-being surveys. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to email me at any time. Thanks for enrolling in this course. See y'all later.